quicker than a ray of light, quicker than a ray of light. Madonna. What's up, guys? Welcome back. Today is going to be a wear test of a new foundation. This is the Nabla Skin Realist Beautifying Tinted Balm, and you guys requested this, and I'm so glad that you did, because I was looking for an excuse for a very long time to order from Nabla. They're an Italian company, and the reason that I was looking for an excuse to buy from them is because I have been eyeing this eyeshadow palette for such a long time, pretty much since they were hyping it before it came out. This is the side-by-side palette from them. I don't think that it's like new. I'm not even sure it's their newest eyeshadow palette, but when I actually have an eyeshadow palette like living rent-free in my brain, I tend to not ignore such things because it happens so seldom. I just really needed to know. So I've had a chance to play with both of these, but I haven't had a chance to do a full day wear test, especially wearing this alone, like not with powder. We'll get into all of that, but I'm going to put this on, put some other stuff on. and I'll give you guys the claims, the prices, everything like that, and then we'll move into the wear test and end with my final thoughts. So let's go ahead and jump in. So this lovely and slightly conspicuous flower arrangement behind me, ooh, haha, hello, is from the Finding Ferdinand collab. They sent this stuff to me for, this isn't sponsored or anything, but it was gifted to me. They did a collab with the Flower Bodega, and it was like these two custom lipsticks, and then this beautiful like flower arrangement. Oh, it's so pretty. And a lot of this is dried and then this is alive. I just had to put that in there because, well, it just spices things up and I like the way that it looks. Okay, I've already done my skin prep pretty recently. So I did my moisturizer, I did my SPF, and then I did my crossword puzzle. That was my morning routine. My son is finally back in daycare today. He only goes 3 days a week, and he didn't go at all last week because he was sick, and so he's sick of us. We're just happy he feels better. We're happy he gets to go be with his friends today. Anyway, just getting back to work and just trying to have a like slightly less stressful week. Kicking it off. So that's what it looks like. I'm not really sure that that's super helpful, but I'm gonna actually go in with a brush on this because it is supposed to be just a skin tint. I mean, I guess I could just put it on with my fingers. Maybe we'll do that. I've done this before. It's cooling on the skin. It's very, like, it's a very pleasant feeling thing to put on. In fact, why don't I just do that? I think the brush soaked up quite a bit of product, so we'll do that. Kind of don't know if you can do this wrong, you know? But on the website, it does say that it's, you know, a tinted balm. It is a light buildable coverage foundation. It's not supposed to be some kind of full coverage thing. And so when I wore this the first time, maybe I was misled by it being in a pump bottle. A lot of times things that are in pump bottles perform more like a foundation. I don't know why that is the way my brain processes these things, but I decided to powder it. Maybe because I was using that eyeshadow palette, and the eyeshadow palette is a little bit fancy, you know, it's easy to get a glam look out of it. And so I went a little heavy on, you know, the concealing and the powder and everything. And this just doesn't, it's not that it's bad in that sense. It's just that there are other foundations if that's what you're going for, you know, this isn't what this is meant to do. And so that is a nice sheer coat of it. You know, you can still see all of my situations, but ooh, it feels really nice going on. And they do say that it's sort of a skin tint meets skincare kind of thing, and it does have that feeling to it, where it does have its own dry down. I think it probably has some silicones in it, but it feels really nourishing. It feels really hydrating on my skin. So Lord knows I need as much of that as I can get. I like that it hydrates my under eyes because last night was the first full night of sleep that we've had in a long time. Simon's been waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't want to make it sound like we're sick of our son. We're just really underslept. That's all. And when your kid has a fever and he's obviously miserable and his teeth, his two front teeth right here are growing in at the same time, he's been miserable. And when he's miserable, you just hurt for him. And so it's just a relief. It's a relief that we have a child who woke up in a fantastic mood today, didn't throw up all over himself. It just, you know, just some normalcy. Anyway, so that is, I mean, it's utterly beautiful. I'm still going to, like I said, wear it all day because, you know, that's what we do on my channel. It's going to be something that you guys are going to want to know. But I think that the first most informative thing is, you know, how much coverage you get when you put it on. I also got the shade 1 Fair. I don't think this has a particularly huge shade range, but it's also extremely sheer. You know. I'm gonna go in with a little bit of concealer here. Should we go Pat McGrath or should we go Kosas? I'm feeling Kosas for this just because they seem to have similar dry down type consistencies, you know, that like hydrating consistency and a little lighter coverage. I think that if I wore the Pat McGrath, it would kind of take over and I would just be doing a wear test of Pat McGrath, you know, which we already know I love it. So we'll just do that. I have this in the shade 1. I did a live this weekend on Instagram. That was fun / funny. You guys engaged with it. There was probably like 50, 55 people there at the most. And it was just so much fun. I literally did an Instagram live because I didn't know how to film an IGTV. And of course these things are always very spontaneous. And so it was because my husband had stepped out for like a few minutes to go and get some more Motrin for Simon for his teeth growing in because he's been miserable. This is the theme of our lives right now. I just was getting on there to show all the baby clothes that I had just bought. And it was just so much fun. Everybody's like, do more lives. I'm like, only when I have things to like actually show you guys, because otherwise it's just me running my mouth unedited, which gets me in trouble. So, whoo, girl. I don't mean to sit here and like bag on myself. I'm not like digging for a compliment, but my eyes are so puffy. Feels good to get some makeup on. This thing, I really thought that I had like sleepwalked and bumped my head because all of a sudden this goose egg showed up and it was actually like a massive zit. Oh boy. Okay, let's do my eyes next so that we can kind of zoom through the rest of the complexion later on. I'll give this a chance to dry down a little bit on its own if it wants to, you know, and that will determine how I go about my blush. So this is the side-by-side palette. Besides the shade Paradiso right here, which reminds me of Amsterdam. I used to go to this club called the Paradiso and watch music shows in Amsterdam. Anyway, aside from that one, the rest of the palette is decidedly cool toned. Even these sort of, well, I think they call it burnt sienna, which is like what you would call that shade if you were buying paint. You know, there tend to be sort of universal shade names for like oil paints and things like that, and burnt sienna is one of them. But anyway, I really was drawn to the color story because everything did want to lean so nice and cool, and I'm going to mainly use the mattes because they are actually incredibly beautiful and they're easy to work with, and that is what I have been playing with kind of on my own lately. I like the look that I was able to achieve. So I'm gonna start with this shade Bonjour. Well, do I want to do Bonjour? Yeah, this is sort of close to my skin tone, so that'll be a good little transition shade, but I have to tell you, Beauty Mark right here, I almost said Birthmark, which would be, I don't know, that's kind of a weird name, but Beauty Mark right here is the shade I lean on the most. It is just a perfect, cool taupe. It's fantastic, but we'll start with this. Some people were asking me in my live because I was wearing my glasses, they're like, how do you manage to do your makeup on camera without your glasses on? And the answer is I'm nearsighted and my mirror is pretty stinking close to me, and I end up editing out the moments where I take a mirror and like pull it this close to my face to like double check what I'm doing, and sometimes it still doesn't work out. I have been keeping this window open because I just love the detail that comes through when I have natural light. When I do this artificial light, you know, it's really easy to color grade that because it's the same every time. And it's definitely more annoying to color grade when the sun is kind of moving behind clouds all day and stuff like that, because it tends to make my, you know, my white balance go blue, full pink, full green, whatever. And it can be a little bit, I feel like, distracting, but I think that it is sometimes worth it for just how much more detail you see on my skin. You know, I never want, I've said this pretty recently, but I never want to mislead anybody into thinking that I am trying to appear more perfected on camera because of my lights and stuff. I am definitely, I'm not like a, I don't even know. Everybody talks about, oh, skin filters. What is that? Is that, I mean, I understand what it is on Instagram and stuff like that, but like on video, is it something, is it like a plugin that you would buy? Or is it like a function in Photoshop, khaki, Final Cut? You know, I do not know, but I know that, you know, people have been accused of using them. I promise you, I will never use one because I can't even figure out how to do an IGTV, so. Let's see, what else happened to me this weekend? I found some cute stuff at Banana Republic. I'm gonna do a haul. I was asking you guys on my live yesterday. You know, I've gotten a bunch of cute stuff, and Italic has sent me a bunch of cute stuff that, you know, I'm gonna do a video around. If you aren't familiar with Italic, they're like my favorite basics. There's like luxury basics, you pay a membership, and then you can, it's all at cost. It's like crazy discounted, like cashmere and, you know, just really beautiful, simple stuff. And they sent me a bunch of really, really pretty stuff for spring, and I want to put it in a video, but I was like, how do you guys want to see that? Like a capsule wardrobe, or do you want to see a haul, or do you want to see like some kind of higher concept or whatever? And you guys were like, just do a haul. And I was like, cool, I can do a haul, like a try on haul and like styling it and stuff. Because as many of you know, my thing is definitely fashion. I mean, not fashion. I'm not like, oh, you know, not like that, but I'm like clothes. You know what I mean? Clothes are my vice far more than makeup. I always talk about how, you know, there's makeup that I buy to review and there's makeup that I buy for myself. And very actually infrequently do I really get excited about makeup for myself. It has to be a pretty unique color story, unique texture or whatever. And that is, this Nabla palette would be something that I would buy for myself. Like that's how, I don't know, personally engaged I felt by the color story. I think I asked, who was it? Maybe Casually Extra? I don't know her real name. I love her account. She just does beautiful makeup, and you know, she's beautiful too. But anyway, she, I think, did a flat lay, including this palette, and I asked her and she's like, it's really, really cool tone. And I was like, it sounds right up my alley, honestly. The only thing I'm not sure about is actually the shimmers. Like they aren't, I don't know, when I put them on without something under them, without another powder, all right, khaki, matte shadow underneath them, they didn't really want to stick, which is interesting. That's not what I expected. I think that they're okay once you have something else under them. There's just some that are different textures. There's some that are kind of that like, you know, Charlotte Tilbury, just like glitter topper texture. And I think that that kind of caught me off guard. And then there are some that are just like that really, really saturated foil texture. So that's some nice matte going on. I don't want to get too dramatic today. I think that the matte thing, the all matte thing, is so reminiscent of like the 90s in a really good way. You know, it's almost like eye contour instead of eyeshadow, but it's, you know, quite exaggerated. Obviously I'm wearing makeup, but obeying the contours of my eyes, maybe improving on them a little bit. I like it. And I am going to take like a pencil brush and enhance the highlights, I think, but I want to just play in these matte shades here and get something really nice first. Do I like that? Rarity is the very white shade in here. I appreciate for something that has 4 times 4 is 16, right? Yes. Yeah. Whew, boy, I'm telling you guys, sleep deprivation is the highest form of brain weaponry. I want to use this shade. Oh my God, it's so pretty. Oh boy, yikes, these are so pretty. Okay, so Cedarwood and Better Society right here. Cedarwood is almost like a satin version of Better Society, which is more of a glitter. and that's what they look like. They're absolutely beautiful. And even though I said I didn't want to go overboard, I can't help myself. Those are so pretty. So I think I want to use cedarwood almost as like almost as a crease shade a little bit onto my lid, because it's just glittery enough that it's going to add to the ability to blend. Between my bad eyesight and my dirty mirror, which I don't know how it gets so much stuff on it, I don't know. It must just be like finishing spray or something. But between those two things, I really do just like lay down the gauntlet on myself, just trying to make things as difficult as possible. And if you're new here and you're like, why don't you just wear contact lenses? My eyes are allergic to every contact lens I have ever tried, and I don't know why. Body and soul, a little bit of something shimmery to help me. Now some of these I think are a little too cool for me, like Love Ritual, like whoa, and Cubism, like those are like gray, and that's gonna be, I don't know, it's not that it doesn't work, it's just a totally different look than what I'm going for today. And I have small eyes, and those kind of super silvery blue cool tones can make my eyes look even smaller, because that's how temperature works. Better Society, gonna go with that. It's just like a little, oh yeah, like that. I'm even gonna bring that right there too. And then, like I said, I'm gonna go in with a pencil brush, if I can find one. Yeah, and just use Ray of Light. Quicker than a ray of light. Right here and onto my lash line just a touch. Quicker than a ray of light. Quicker than a ray of light. Madonna. All the time, guys, I tell myself I'm going to get on camera and I'm going to just be calm and maybe calming and not be, you know, chaotic, but well, okay. I'm not gonna say I'm like the most chaotic person in the world, but I'm kind of always in a weird mood. That is working question mark? You know, at some point you just kind of give in to the blob and you put on some eyeliner and mascara and it looks like you planned it. But I just love that this palette seems to have every shade that I want to reach for. There's nothing worse than when you're like working with a palette and you're like, I just need a, well, if I just, maybe if I, and like those shades just aren't there. That was how that old RMS palette, the Hidden Desire palette, I was like, you're right, it is hidden. Can't find a single thing I want in here. All right, I'm going to shut my mouth for a minute and I'm going to do my eyeliner and my complexion and everything and come back, and then we'll talk about all the other stuff. Skin tint on, face kind of sticky. I did end up powdering just a touch with the Kosas, this stuff, the Cloud Set in Airy, just because I do feel like this wants to be a little bit tackier, a little shinier than I want it to be. You know, that's some people's thing, but I'm kind of moving on past the super dewy skin tints, and so hopefully this kind of holds its own with just a touch of powder. I also had a realization, and I need to enlighten, well, I need to enlighten you. I need to update you guys on my realization. So we talk about that funky texture, right? That's in the Rare Beauty lip gloss, in the Rowan liquid lip balms, the Vesca liquid lip balm oil things, that funky slippy texture, thick glow. I just use this, the M Cosmetics. This is in Mochi Mochi. I forget what this is actually called, but whatever the formula is for Mochi Mochi, the same thing. It's not as thick, but it has that same funky slip to it. So I had another thing in my collection that does that. That's pretty cool. So might have to do more of these. Okay, let's go to Nabla. So they do have this at Beauty Bay, and they do actually have the side-by-side palette at Ulta, apparently. That's just what I'm seeing on the ads. It might get there and it be, you know, out of stock or something, but regardless. The Skin Realist is 30 euros. 30 euros to dollars. $36.15 currently in the exchange rate for the USD. And it comes in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shades. And while they are not really expansive. They're not very extensive, but they're expansive. You know, it goes very fair to very dark. I'm the fairest, so I mean, you know, if you're fairer than me, you might not be able to get away with it. And then the deepest is pretty deep, but you know, we're not really catering to a whole menagerie of undertones here. Oh yeah. Yep, I can feel that headache coming. Spectacles. Oh, with little baby fingerprints all over them. Skin Realist is a beautifying tinted balm with hyaluronic acid microspheres that perfects skin texture. Hyaluronic acid, if you're unaware, can dry your skin out if you don't put something on pretty much right before it that has a good amount of moisture in it. Otherwise, it will draw the moisture from your skin instead of from the air. So, you know, always be mindful of anything with hyaluronic acid in it, in that sense, because it can make a foundation like this appear to perform horribly. Its creamy and adherent texture is a hybrid of makeup and skincare. Blending seamlessly with the skin, it evens out the complexion and instantly gives a fresh, healthy, lifted, plumper appearance with a radiant and smoothing finish. Rich in active ingredients, the Skin Realist formula acts like a treatment to promote the synthesis of collagen and elastin for an immediate and long-lasting effect. Every shade of Skin Realist is flexible and can adapt to multiple skin tones. That just means that it's sheer, basically. Yes, things that are adaptable do exist, but I don't know. I think it's a word that a lot of them use when they just have a smaller shade range. Thanks to its sheer buildable light coverage. Exactly. So finding your shade has never been this easy. Benefits: gives a radiant smoothing effect, sheer coverage buildable, easy to apply, adheres well to skin, no product waste thanks to airless pump. It's sort of disguised, but you can see the little airless pump situation, and this lasts 12 months. So that usually an airless pump means that less bacteria is going to get in there. So rich in active ingredients and with clinically tested effectiveness, plumped looking skin and lifting effect from the very first application, improvement in skin texture after 4 weeks of usage. Skin is up to 31% more hydrated. How did they quantify that? That makes me curious. Non-comedogenic, suitable for all skin types. I would go ahead and say, if you have oily skin, this might be a little dewy for you. I don't know. It might have some like balancing intelligence in it, but it's pretty dewy. It has microspheres of hyaluronic acid, whatever pullulan is. Pullulan? A natural polysaccharide that can give skin an immediate lifted effect and protect it from external agents by creating a protective barrier. It promotes collagen production, alleviates oxidizing stress to combat skin damage. So oxidizing means aging. Mix of carriers and emollients. They work in synergy with the functional ingredients, and day after day they significantly improve skin texture. They help hyaluronic acid absorption and provide a feeling of smooth, velvety skin without giving an oily look. So they're saying that this is for people who don't even typically want to use foundation, but wish to improve their skin's appearance. I think that it's got more coverage than that. I mean, you guys saw it right upon application, so you can make that judgment for yourself. Perhaps I just ended up with a lot more makeup on my face because of, you know, my typical routine and kind of covering things, but I do feel like it doesn't like look makeup-y, but it's not there, you know? We have a lot of skin tints that I've reviewed on my channel, and some of them are like not there. This is on my arbitrary scale of coverage. I give this like a 4 out of 10. It doesn't disappear into your skin. I wouldn't look at this and go, that's your skin. I would go, that's makeup. And then I want to talk about the eyeshadow palette real quick. So this guy is $39.90 euros. Created to be, okay, khaki. When will I learn? Created to be with you always, side by side pulls together chromatic classicism and the daily artistic gesture. They like the word gesture. I think that maybe that kind of translates differently out of Italian, because that's another, they used it in another description where I was like, I'm not sure that that's what you mean. The daily artistic gesture of makeup. Maybe they mean like the act of putting it on, like the ceremony or the ritual. Celebrating self-expression and inner artistry. Inside, 6 brand new shades were developed to create an extended range of neutral looks and to easily define eyes with a game with a game of reflections, lights, and shades. Okay, the different finishes carefully developed for each shade give a precious touch to each look, making it iconic. The formulas are rich, creamy, extremely pigmented, and highly performing, from super matte to metal foil to the beloved Celestial. Celestial, I think, is what the industry is calling that topper texture that I was talking about, because I think that Wayne Goss also uses that to describe his toppers, and yeah, it's just basically that hourglass scattered light kind of scattered glitter look. So I do want to swatch just a couple of the shimmery guys here, because mattes, you know, mattes are one thing. They're either, you know, good or they're not. But as far as just a better understanding. Okay, so Love Ritual, the one that I said was going to be way too cool for me, I actually really like it on my skin. It's really, really pretty, isn't it? So I do want to do another look around that. You know, is the texture the most satisfying, creamy thing I've ever felt in my entire life? No, it's not giving me that just like better than life kind of slippiness that you can get from foiled shades sometimes, but I do think that they are really nice. We'll see how that goes for wear time, since I do have kind of, I think I have an example of all the textures on my eyeballs right now, and we'll see how that goes. I am pretty impressed with Paradiso. That one was probably the creamiest out of all of them. But I do really like the payoff. This is Cedarwood. This is the one that I have on my eyes right now. I love the payoff of that when it's really built up. And I love just the subtlety of that undertone. You know, it is like a brown copper or a brown plum that wants to go a little bit, just a touch cool. And it's really, really subtle. And I like that. I love subtlety. I love uncommon shades. I really, really like the colors. I love the color story of this. I'm just really not 100% sold on the formula. I like the way that the mattes blend, but the foils that I was like really excited to be excited about, you know, they're not quite as satisfying as I was hoping for, but we'll see how the glitter wears, so I've got like a, you know, like a shimmer here, a glitter here, a shimmer here, and matte everywhere else, and like underneath my eyes. And this is how I would typically wear it. Like, I don't want to pile it up just to make an example. Like, this is the reason that I bought this particular palette, is to be able to put together really pretty neutral looks that just have like a subtle mix of textures in them, more to use the textures to enhance the contours of my eyes, less to do like something crazy and dramatic. My Pat McGrath Divine Rose palette is an artistry palette, and this is much more of a practical palette that just leans, you know, into fun textures and stuff, but it is, I mean, it really has such a fantastic array of neutral tones that are just like easy to play with, easy to think through, and you don't really get lost, you know? I'll do one final little close up here before we jump into the wear test. But that's how it looks on my skin, and I have just the Salt New York Cream Tint Pro on, as well as the LYS Beauty blush in Self Love. That is the only blush that I'm wearing right now on top of my contour and my bronzer. And again, I did just do a little bit of powder with the Kosas, and you can see like it doesn't mattify necessarily. It's probably just going to kind of like take the shine down a touch, just a touch. But that is how I would wear it, even with my dry skin. So I think that that's still a good, you know, practical way to do the wear test. That is she. This is the vibe today. I'm going to wear this for as long as I can. You know, I put it on at about 8 a.m. Probably see you guys around 4:30, something like that. And I will give you guys the scoop on how this foundation performed, how the eyeshadow lasted, and all of that. I don't want to be disappointed. I don't, but I am a little on the fence right now about the fidelity. Like, it's very pretty right now, but I am nervous about the fidelity of this stuff just based on how it feels on my face. But you know, the industry just keeps leaping forward in terms of technology. I should really just level my expectations, because maybe this is going to blow my mind and stay just like bouncy and skincare-y all day without breaking up. So yeah, I'll see you guys at the end of my day. Not great, Bob. It is just now 3 p.m. So it's been 7 hours since I put this on, and I'm gonna go ahead and call it. I've been watching this all day, and I haven't really been doing anything. You know, I've been inside all day. I filmed another video, and a lot of what's on my face right now when I was editing that video looked really good, but it was right after I put it on. By the time I was editing that video, probably around 11:30 or noon, and I'm sitting here at this desk editing where I film, my mirror is sitting right here, I could just see this stuff deteriorating. I was like, what is going on, man? And I, thought, okay, well, it's probably that I put a concealer on that doesn't really agree with this. And so I more kept an eye on the other parts of my face. And also I still had really high hopes for the eyeshadow. And unfortunately, like really unfortunately, you guys know I don't like giving a bad review, and I don't want it to sound like a bad review. I just think that there are other things that are more worth your money than this, just because, I wore this already another day where I did powder it. I wore it in a much different, way and a different set of circumstances. And I have to say, it kind of did the same thing both times, where it just looks like I've been wearing it for like 10 or 12 hours and it's only been 7. So I'm gonna lower my light so you can see what I'm talking about here. So one of the main things that I notice is that that blush, the LYS blush that I absolutely adore, just kind of faded away to nothing. And I wear that blush all the time. I know that that's not the blush doing that. It might just be a disagreement between the two formulas, but still that kind of makes it a finicky formula. And also, like, underneath my eyes, can you see that? Yes, that is the Kosas, but you guys know the Kosas concealer is my ride or die. One of my ride or dies, rides or die, because I love that one and the Pat McGrath, but this is just disagreeing so much with it that it's a little frustrating. I put on concealer, but not that much concealer. I put on powder, but not that much powder, and I put the powder on mainly because it was so dewy that it felt like it was gonna slide around. And I feel like somehow it both stayed like kind of dewy, greasy, but also settled into lines. Like it's somehow dry and too dewy at the same time. But again, this is not a tragedy. This isn't something where I would be embarrassed at the end of the day or for any point in the day for someone to see this, but it just, there are such better things out there than this for a better price. So for what this is going for, $29, I would highly recommend the Urban Decay Hydromaniac. The Hydromaniac is that same glycerin-y, bouncy thing, but, sorry, my light, it's just so much longer wearing, like shockingly long wearing. And every time I wear it, doesn't matter what products I wear it with, it just always agrees. It gets along. And this just seems to, like, yes, I could probably find the products to make it work, but I think that makeup should be fun and easy. And therefore, while maybe someone, would bring this home and have a happy accident and all the products that they wore with it would work perfectly and it would be beautiful and long wearing on their skin, that's just not what happened with me. That's all. And it would be a lot more work for me to try and find things that, that worked with this than it is for me to just use what I have. So I, like to think that my experience would translate to some degree, and, all of the times that I've worn the Hydromaniac, which are many, 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 I have never had a problem like this. Now, let's talk about this here eyeshadow. You still have the proportions, right? You still have the same ratios of all the different colors and everything, but oh boy. I mean, we have the shimmer up on my brow bone. That still looks pretty good. The shimmer kind of on the inner quarter looks okay. But everything else just looks rode hard and hung up wet. Like this whole makeup look, I feel like looks like I've been wearing it for so much longer than I really have, or like I went out and ran. There are definitely phases of makeup where in Texas I would go for a run because I already have my sunscreen on and everything, and I knew I was just gonna sweat it off anyway. And I would come back and it looked a lot like this. And I haven't done anything of the sort today, guys. I have been in an air-conditioned house all day working and drinking a smoothie, and it looks like I have fully done a workout in this. I'm about to go do a workout, I'm about to go do yoga, but I have not done any kind of sweating today, and I look kind of like a sweaty, depleted, wilted, face of makeup right now. And, I know that there are probably going to be people who are like, that looks fine, and I think it looks fine. I just think that there are better things out there. For your money, for the performance, for the agreeability. I'm thinking from the standpoint of someone who this is their only foundation they're going to buy. Is this a holy grail? No, it is not. At least not from the needs of my skin and the expectations that I have for performance. And honestly, it's such a shame because when it goes on, it feels really good. It's like cooling, it's like the right amount of coverage. It is very, very similar to the Hydromaniac going on, but it just deteriorates so quickly. I really barely got 4 hours of like quality wear time out of it. And you guys saw how excited I was about this eyeshadow palette. And I'm not gonna say I'm never gonna use this eyeshadow palette again, but like, there are definitely color stories by like ColourPop that are very similar to this that, I mean, granted, they don't have all of those shades. Those shades are so pretty, but I feel like you could kind of get to the same things, and at least ColourPop shadows are long wearing. So I'm sad about this. Like, it breaks my heart because it's my first experience with this brand and I genuinely really wanted to have a home run here. And it was a beautiful face of makeup, honestly. Like, I feel like I did a darn good job making this look really pretty. I loved this eye look when I saw it when I was editing my video that went up yesterday. Oh my gosh. I was like, that is a darn good looking eye look, and it has the right undertones and everything. I felt like I applied it in a really like flattering way where I was accentuating, you know, just the depth on my eyelids and everything without it being too much. And again, I'm going to probably use it again, but I'm not going to tell anybody to buy it because I think that the formula is actually like, it's just disappointing in the sense that it doesn't have a whole lot of fidelity. Neither of them does. So if Nabla is like your favorite brand in the world, let me know what products from them that have actually like really performed for you and that have been long wearing, because like I said, you know, I'm not embarrassed of that at all, but anybody who's taken a jog in a full face of makeup, you know that this is what it looks like when you come back. It's not bad, but it looks worn in, you know? And it looks a lot more worn in than the amount of time I've been wearing it. And it also just, it feels kind of uncomfortable. Oh, also in that video, you probably noticed that my hair was sticking to my face. Everything was sticking to my face the entire time I was wearing it. And so it was like, even during the wear time that I had that was good looking, it was uncomfortable. And I was like, well, eventually my dry skin is gonna kind of drink up all those skincare ingredients and it'll eventually like dry down to a more long wearing situation. Well, then it like didn't look that awesome afterwards. So that's my hang up with it, is we might have had 5 minutes of a happy medium between it being dried down and it looking just kind of dry and feeling sort of uncomfortable. So again, I think I got played by hyaluronic acid. You know, they say that there's all this chemistry in the formula to be able to balance that out and account for the fact that hyaluronic acid is a little bit finicky, but it just didn't really work for me. But that's also a testament to how lights can make you look so good. Look at that. It's like, oh, no big deal, no big deal. And it's like, if I turn those away and I get really close, like you just see all the particulation and everything around like underneath my eyes. Ooh, yeah, so me looking sweaty, I'm about to go actually get sweaty and do some yoga. But I hope that this was valuable for you guys. I'm sorry that it was disappointing. I always hate to not like a face of makeup or hate to not like a product, but yeah, I would skip these. Sorry. But yeah, I hope that you guys found this valuable. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you want to keep hanging out with me on this channel, hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you did. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.